Hey guys, remember this little Silvertone radio? Did a Friday night restoration on it, a year or two ago now? Well, I want to get back to it and finish it off. There were a few loose ends. No, I don't think we'll be needing this, but we will be needing this stuff. So, one of the things I wanted to do is put on a proper strain relief on the back and replace the dial cover. I thought it was missing when I got it, or very badly warped, but I actually did find it. It is intact, but it's very discolored. And if you recall, this whole radio cabinet was just nasty with nicotine tar sludge, and I did several rounds of cleaning. Perhaps I could clean this and get it to be clear again, but no need, because I ordered one up from, I think it's dialcovers.com, something like that. And he makes nice reproductions. I believe what he does is he makes a two-part mold and puts in a flat plastic stock, heats it up, and does kind of vacuum forming. So very similar to the original, but a whole lot more transparent. Alright, well, so how do we get that on? Well, we have to take the radio back apart, which will give me the opportunity to put in the strain relief. This is what I was struggling to find. I'm just out of stock of them, and nobody seems to be carrying them right now. But this is a type of strain relief. 2-lead line cord goes right through the middle, and it has a couple spurs on one end, and that gets pushed in. So this side with the spurs will end up residing inside the chassis. And when I put this together back when, I forgot to put the tube shields on two of the tubes, so we can take care of that as well. Alright, let's get to it. Let's put this stuff aside and get this radio taken all back apart. Alright, got the knobs off. Now, let's see. 4 screws holding the back, and then I guess we need to pull the chassis out too. So 4 screws on the bottom. That is where the line cord should be coming out, but I just temporarily threaded it through a slot in the back cover. Alrighty, I think we have all the screws out. Didn't even bother to reattach the antenna because I knew this day would come. I knew I'd be taking this back apart again. Should be able to get the end of the plug through the back. Just need to find the end of the cord. The question that's come up on the Antique Radio Forum time and again is how long were the cords originally on radios? And generally electrical appliances back in the day, they were pretty darn long. Nowadays more like 6 feet is the norm. But back then it seemed like they were, or maybe 8 feet. Back then I've seen some pretty darn long cords on things. It doesn't fit. I must have put it through and then wired into the chassis. Otherwise I'm going to have to stress this a bit. Well, maybe I can. Maybe I can just get it through. Huh. It's funny, I don't remember doing this. Forget it. We'll disconnect it on the other end. I don't want to risk damaging the back. Alright, this colored me a little bit of a trick. We have to kind of pull and tilt. It's all mounted on one piece. The speaker, the push buttons, everything. That's the trick. You need to push all 4 presets in to get it through the front escutcheon. And there we go. It's a fun little project. Nice, neat little radio. Alright, first let's do the tube shield so I don't forget that again. That's the easiest thing to do. Just need to remember what tubes they go over. I might have to go back and refer to my notes. I'm not sure I remember. All these are cardboard tubes that have aluminum foil on the inside. And the bases of all these tubes have a grounded collar, so you could actually put this over any tube you wanted to. Maybe the tube chart shows which have shields. Yes. Very clever. Thank you, Silvertone. I put double circles around the ones with shields. The 7C6 and the 14Q7. I believe that's the converter tube and the IF tube. So it's that guy and that guy. Put this one upside down. Really cheap way to do it. And as you take these on and off, they start falling apart because the foil gets a little shredded. There we go. Put that down there. This one's a little loose. They put crimson around the cardboard circumference. It's supposed to aid in making it grippy, but this one's not gripping too well. Grab a bit of aluminum foil and wedge it down in there to make better contact. Alright, so one, we're going to need to undo my line cord and strain relief down here. I just simply tied a knot in it for strain relief, so I need to unsolder the ends, undo the knot, and pull it through, put it through the strain relief, thread it back through properly through the back, and that'll be that. So the one tricky thing that remains is dial cover. How was it held in? Almost looks like it might have been glued in there. Let's see. Here's a new one. And I've done this before. I think I used little brad nails, or brass nails of some sort. Seems to fit pretty well. Not perfectly, but pretty well. Certainly good enough. Well, it fits a little bit better this way around. Now, how do you hold it in? I suppose I could use contact cement. The bezel looks like it was painted. It's flaked off in places. I'm guessing that's maybe where the glue on the old one stuck to the paint and it pulled away. Oh yeah, for sure. You can see it on the back of it. That's the paint. So yeah, it sure looks like this was glued in there. And the original one in just like so. It doesn't line up very well either, so I think the reproduction's actually pretty accurate. So for the heck of it, let's try cleaning this. So, a little glass cleaner here, a paper towel. I would expect the outside to be worse than the inside, but who knows. It's coming clean, but it's not going to be clear. That's pretty apparent. But I wonder, maybe it was tinted originally? Hard to say. It's uniform. What I'm getting at is, I suppose I could clean this and reinstall it. And it would look alright. It's actually not warped or cracked. Now that's a tough call. I already spent my money on the reproduction, and I don't have another one of these. Could try reselling it, I suppose. This comes down to what's more valuable or authentic. Not that this is a valuable radio, but do we want to keep the original, the bezel, even though it's, I think, discolored, or put in the new one? I'm kind of leaning towards putting the original back in. Since it still has the original finish on the cabinet and all, why not? I misplaced this. I thought I had lost it. That's really why I ordered a new one. I couldn't remember, because I got this radio a few years ago. I couldn't remember if it didn't come with one, or if it was damaged and I tossed it, or what the deal was. But I was cleaning up in the basement and I stumbled across it and was kind of kicking myself. It's getting a lot cleaner, but there's clearly there's some residue on there, so I'll keep at it. I think what's remarkable is that for a radio, I think this is from the late 40s, early 50s, that this plastic has held up so well. I let it soak in some Palmolive dish detergent, a type that has no dye in it. And that's looking a lot better. Some fine scratching on it though, so I'm going to try some of this Mcguire's Plastex plastic polish on it. It's a little less aggressive than Novus number 2. It's mostly the outer surface, not surprisingly, that has some fine scratches. This is thin, so I do not want to be at all aggressive. Yeah, that's better. It's better on this right-hand side that I just polished. I don't know what appears to you guys, but definitely looking better. So I will continue on a bit, and then we're going to try mounting this. Still trying to decide what kind of adhesive to use. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. And I will try using some contact cement to install this. Put a few dabs around this, a few dabs on the inside of the bezel, let it set for a bit, and then press this in. Don't exactly need a whole lot of holding force. This weighs next to nothing. Well, this is a little unexpected. Contact cement worked fine and glued it in place, but I didn't realize that it had shrunk. And there's a bit of a gap and doesn't look so hot. However, the new one is also about the same size. In other words, a little smaller than the opening. Well, the old one looks bad because it has the remains of the paint stuck to the old glue around the edge. So I'm not entirely sure what I want to do about this. It's kind of a shame that the reproduction... It's like the reproduction is based on an old one that shrunk or something. After spending too much time screwing around with both the new and the old dial cover, I came to realize that the issue really isn't with the dial cover, it's with this plastic escutcheon. It has warped over time. I should have remembered that from when I worked on this earlier and had trouble getting the presets in and out because this opening has distorted. So I just went with the new one because it doesn't have the paint residue around the perimeter. So yeah, it doesn't fit in there perfectly. That's because the opening is no longer a rectangle, so be it. I think it looks fine at a distance. Nobody will notice. Alright, so let's put that aside and move on to getting the power cord rewired with the proper strain relief. Alright, so we need to get this line cord back out. I'm simply going to snip off the ends, and then I'll deal with cleaning off the lugs after the fact. Because I want to find out sooner than later, will this wire fit through that strain relief? If I use lamp cord that was too heavy a gauge, it won't fit through the strain relief. This is fairly small stuff. Might be 20 gauge, maybe 18. Let's see, so it should go through like this. Yeah, I'll cut this end off flush. It's a little easier. Yeah, it just fits. Alrighty, and I'll tie a knot like before, so I'll probably need, about that much. And that goes through the hole in the chassis, and then this should fit in that hole with a little bit of force. Perhaps I could put the strain relief in and then thread the line cord through. I'm not sure which is the better approach. Yeah, I'll try that. Because with the line cord in, they're just it's getting hard to get off. There we go. There just isn't enough give for me to get it through there. Pull it on the inside. There we go. Perfect. Can we get this in? Yes. Alrighty. Operation is a success. Fantastic. So that gives you a nice rubber boot there. Well, no, I'm almost being a complete moron again. Because I need to go through the hole in the back of the back. Boy, I would not have been happy if I had forgotten to do that. Alright, let's make sure we got everything oriented right. Okay, this is the outside of the back. We want the line cord to go through this hole. And yes, there is a slit in this, and originally they probably bent this to get a line cord through there. I don't want to risk doing that, because this I think it would split if I tried doing that. Because if you have that slit, you could leave the back out of the equation and run the line cord and do everything, and then just pry that open and slip it in. But I don't know if this got harder over time or what, but if I tried deflecting this enough to get the cord in there, it would crack. I'm almost positive. Alrighty, now we are in business. And if you're wondering about a fuse or adding a fuse holder, if you remember, I added a fusible resistor, a little 6.8 ohm guy in there. So if there was ever a short in the B+, that would burn open, and it also provides a bit of a soft start because it adds some resistance to the line. So it's sort of like a combination fuse and inrush current limiter. Not quite a thermistor, but it'll help. It'll help the tube filaments a bit on startup. Alright, so now time to clean off the remains of the old line cord I clipped out. Alright, knot in the cord, secured, we've got our boot, we've got it reconnected. Let's put this thing back together with our tube shields in place and take one final look at it playing. Alright, chassis has been installed, and once again I'm reminded that this is a really well-made little radio. Highly recommended if you want to take a whack at restoring a vintage radio. This is an all-American 6 So it has an extra RF stage, give you a little more gain, and just for a basic AM only radio, it's really nice. Well, let's make sure it actually still works. There we go. While we're waiting for it to warm up, a big thanks to dialcovers.com and the viewer who sent me the line cord strain relief. Face to face, it's Plastex. Now there is some horrible, harsh noise. As many of you have mentioned in the past to me when I've had noisy projects, try turning off your lights. Let's get the big bench light off. Now there are several other LED bulbs down here in the basement. That's probably where the residual noise is. If I turn those off, I have to kill the power to the radio as well. But what a difference that made, jeez.
God's word, inspired by the Holy Spirit. Ecclesiastes chapter 9.
Sounds great.
Verse 1, but all...
It may take me a while at times, sometimes years even, to get back to projects, but I intend to finish everything that I start to the best of my ability. If you haven't seen the original restoration series on this, I'll put a link in the description. It was what I call a Friday night restoration, meaning that I do it all in one session, in one night project from beginning to end. But I just didn't have some of those final parts I needed to complete the project, and it's been bugging me all this time. Happy to finally get back to it.
Медицинской ассоциации. Если вы устали от боли, если ничего не приносит вам облегчения, приходите.
Thanks for watching.
Firmę o finansowanie zbrodni wojennych. Paryż.
Напоминает, чужая ошибка за рулем опасна для вас. Если случилось несчастье и вы получили травму, опытный адвокат Евгений Вайсман приложит все усилия и свой опыт в получении для вас достойной...
Under the sun, because that is your portion in life and your toil at which you toil under the sun. Whatever your hand